Welcome, WNBA fans. We had a game between the Fever and the Connecticut Sun, and boy, oh boy, this one got feisty. We had a close game until the third quarter, and there was an incident. I'm not going to go into it because I don't, I just want to talk about the games. But I mean, it's part of the game, but things almost got really out of hand. I mean, J.C. Sheldon was guarding Caitlin-Clark, and Caitlin-Clark, she slapped her. She went to go for the ball and hit her in the face, which, that it happens. I mean, it happens more than you'd think it would, but it happens. And Caitlin-Clark took offense to that and pushed her. So then, of course, you have some feisty players. Marina Mabrey just will not deal with any of that stuff. And she, of course, came over to Clark, and Clark's holding her face and just hip checked her, and Tina Charles came over. I didn't even see Marina Mabrey in the live feed. I saw Charles, but apparently Marina Mabrey. So anyway, you got double technical fouls on Clark and Charles and Mabrey, and a foul on J.C. Sheldon. It should have just been one foul on J.C. Sheldon, and the whole thing would have been over. But, I mean, it was almost a bench clearing. And then later in the game, why Sophie Cunningham did what she did, you had, they had, at that point, it was over 10-point lead. And I think it was Sheldon driving to the hoop, and she grabbed her around the neck. And that's just not necessary. If it's a close game and you want to foul her, but not around the neck. And there's certain players that will do that kind of thing, and you're like, come on. It just takes away from the game. And I understand you want to stand up for your teammates, and I get all that. But, someone's going to get hurt. And it's just, anyway, I'm just going to go on with the game. And, it was more of a competitive game than I thought it was going to be. I mean, Indiana ended up winning 88-71. So that's, 17 points. And they were up by more than that. Connecticut kind of closed it in the end. But, in the third quarter, it was Indiana just kind of slowly built a lead. It was like first quarter 23-24. Then Indiana outscored them by 7. So, yeah, they had an 8-point lead at halftime. And then they built on it in the third quarter, and that's when all that stuff happened. And then it was even in the fourth. It was a competitive game, and Connecticut was going to do everything they could to keep the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. Which, if you're defending her, you got to pick her up at half court because she's going to shoot 2 steps over half court. So you have to pick her up, and between Sheldon and Sanaya Rivers, they put on her too for a little bit. They kept her in check. For Caitlin Clark. So, but she got frustrated, and she gets hit in the face, and she pushes back, and I understand all that. It gets frustrating, especially when you're face guarded like that all the time. That's going to wear on you. But Connecticut actually had more points off turnovers than the Fever did. Connecticut had 12 turnovers. Fever had 15. Let's see. But the Fever got contributions from everybody, just like they did in the New York game, which is good for them. Lexi Hull, she was 2 for 3 from three-point range. She was 40% from the floor. Natasha Howard was 5 for 8. She was 62%. Let's see. Aaliyah Boston was 4 for 9. She had 9 points. Howard had 16. Hull had 8. Kelsey Mitchell came through, especially later in the game. She hit. She only hit 1 3. It seemed like more than that when I was watching it, but she was 8 for 18. Maybe some of those were just long twos that I saw. So she had 17 points. Clark had 20. She was 50% from the floor, and she was 4 for 6 from 3. And 4 for 4 at the foul line. So, and she shot 1 or 2 of those technical fouls. And then the only other player that had any kind of points was Damiris Dantas. Sophie Cunningham had 5. So Connecticut, Mabry, I mean, you can't have Marina Mabry only score 6 points. That's going to hurt you. Adota had a good game. She was 6 for 8 from the floor. She had 14 points. Tina Charles had a good game. I thought they got away from going to her. They should have kept pounding the ball into her because she had a size advantage on Indiana. That was, her and Nelson Adota were bigger than what Indiana had. So I thought they did that in the first half, which is what kept them close, but then they got away from it. Let me see here. Sienna, I guess it's Sonia Rivers. She had 7 points. And then Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is a Cal graduate, and she's been kind of floating around the team. She was actually on Indiana's team in the preseason, and I think she was the last person cut. She had 13 points. She's a very good three-point shooter. She was 2 for 2 and 5 for 7. I'm actually, for her sake, I'm hoping she gets more time at Connecticut. They use her more going forward because she's a really good shooter. As Indiana fans would, or not, maybe not the fans, but the coaches on Indiana knew that. They kept her to the very last spot. So good pickup for Connecticut. Let's see if they can utilize that. But good game for Indiana, and with New York winning, the Fever are going to represent the Eastern Conference in the Commissioner's Cup. So good for them. It's amazing since they're only 6 and 5, but in Commissioner's Cups games, they've pulled it out. So with New York winning, they end up. Atlanta needed to win to get it. Otherwise, the Fever are going to get in. So congratulations to the Fever. They are going to play Minnesota for the Commissioner's Cup Championship. That's going to be some more bucks in everybody's pocket for those two teams. And good luck against Minnesota. They're, someone in one of my comments in one of my other videos I did on Minnesota that said that Minnesota plays with their food like a cat and a mouse. Anyway, Minnesota's always a tough go. So good luck to the Fever in that. We'll definitely be watching. And, other than the two little squabbles, which are, it's just sad to see. I hope that doesn't continue. We don't see any more of that. Just keep it off the floor. But other than that, congratulations, Fever. Connecticut gave a good showing for them. I mean, they're near the bottom of the standings, and, they fought hard. So, okay.